Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm the Psych coach, and today I'm going to be talking to you about relationships. More specifically, one thing that you need to stop doing in your relationships, whether they're romantic relationships or your friendships. What I'm going to talk about is a behaviour that most people are compelled to do. And when I say it, an initial reaction for some of you may be to think, I don't do that. But when I explain what it is and how it comes about, chances are you will know that either you're doing it in a relationship or at the very least you have done it in relationships. It's a communication pattern that is unhelpful, it's unhealthy, and it does not allow relationships to flourish. So you need to stop doing it. So what is it? Sulking. Sulking is where you make it very, very obvious that you are disappointed, angry, hurt, frustrated about how someone has behaved. But instead of saying that, you decide to passively aggressively communicate that, withhold the information as to why you're in a bad mood, and then play a rather strange game where you get your partner or friend to try and guess what's going on. Even if they then say, is it because I did X, Y, or Z? If you're sulking, chances are you will say, no, I am fine, and continue to express the fact that you are wildly frustrated at them. It's really pointless. It's so pointless. Most people do it, especially in romantic relationships, but it's such a waste of time. And what will often happen is a partner or indeed a friend will eventually check out and stop trying to guess. If you are a sulker, first thing is to acknowledge that's what you do, yes, and to also give yourself a bit of compassion, because sulking is typically a behaviour that happens when we feel hurt, when we feel like we have been treated undeservingly and unfairly. So there's an understandable reason why you're feeling hurt. There's going to be an understandable reason why you're feeling a desire to sulk. But of course, the toxicity of sulking means that you could have a bad atmosphere for hours, days, weeks, maybe it's months, and it affects your relationship. It's not a sensible thing to do. So have compassion for the fact you're doing it, but listen up for what you can do to change it. The healthier alternative to sulking is, wait for it, to be very honest and communicate your feelings openly and honestly. Now, I know that's really tricky. And of course, if you're sulking, there may be very valid reasons as to why you don't want to open up, because you've done it before and your partner or friend has got really irritated. But know that the healthier alternative to sulking is open communication. And the more you can shut down that unhealthy pathway of getting someone to try and guess what's wrong with you, but not actually being open about why, the quicker as a couple, whether it's romantic or a friendship, you will bounce back from that. What typically happens if you're sulking is you will just be ruminating very angrily about how bad the situation is and how silly the other person has been for treating you the way they have. There is definitely a time and a place for being able to be open about that, and for saying, I'm really hurt. I want to sulk. I want to shut down from you, but I'm going to be open and I'm going to talk about my frustrations. So please hear me out. Doing that can be risky, can't it? It can make you feel really vulnerable. But actually, there's a huge benefit to you doing that. And if your partner or indeed friend can also recognise that they're part of that cycle and they too will sulk, then you can both look at what you can do to try and communicate more openly. And perhaps you would get into a position where you are able to call the other one out if they're sulking and say, hey, seems like you're sulking. I'm guessing you're hurt about something I've done. How healthy would that be to then have the other person say, yes, you're right. I was hurt that you didn't invite me to somewhere, or I was hurt that you didn't take my needs into account when you were thinking about where we were going to go for dinner or which friends we were going to see at the weekend. Try it. Try catching yourself when you're sulking and try and pull yourself out of it as quickly as possible. The art of essentially having arguments in relationships is about the ability to bounce back from them, and sulking totally delays that process from happening. Try stopping sulking. Try on occasions to communicate your feelings openly and honestly, and see the effects. If you've enjoyed today's tips, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will give you plenty more tips on how you can use psychology on a day-to-day basis.